For the past few weeks, the Highline Racing League has been on a classics tour. Iconic tracks, older configurations, and some tracks we don't quite visit anymore in the real world. From Legacy Daytona onto Rockingham, now's time for a track that does exist, but in a much different state. Legacy Atlanta will be the third race of the season here, season 16, and it's going to be the Baadteshop 175 as we get things going here in Hampton, Georgia. It's going to be Atlanta Motor Speedway playing host in its original configuration on iRacing, and the Gen 4s, they were built for this one. Watching Adam Bozzi, he just went to the pole position here in qualifying, and we're still underway. As it stands, only a total of 4 minutes and 25 seconds remaining, and it's going to be from there, just a few minutes left. Time is running out, but from there it's going to be a lot of hard-fought racing as qualifying is stacked. Great to have you all for our second stream on FTN after a 2-minute break. We're back live, and as always, I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. David Kreutz back in the broadcast booth after a thriller at Daytona in the IORA Cup Series. Must-watch content, 4-wide finish. Sean Conklin gets it done. Tonight, it's going to be a tale of two races. Definitely exciting racing. Next Gen's a younger field, less experience overall, giving us a thriller until the end. But tonight, it's a bit more experience. Some veterans giving us a much different look at old NASCAR, old tracks, and higher horsepower. Bit trickier and much more off-throttle time. Two styles of racing. I love calling them both. And late nights, this one's a bit more relaxing to get into. Atlanta, it might not be relaxing for the drivers, but it can give us a hell of a show as we're watching Joshua Susi in the number 92 USPS Chevy Monte Carlo. And you'll see this number 92 bobbling up and down the track. There is no way to keep this one still. It's going to go up and down. The bumps on the track continuing to give these drivers a challenge. And the number 92, well, he's feeling that challenge right now as he works it up and down. 3 minutes, 4 seconds remain on the timing charts here. And it looks like 20 drivers, now 21 have taken a time, going back to Tyler Rush. Tyler looks to be the last of which who has taken a time. The 72 machine back on the way with a metallic splash on the front, a beautiful looker, and it looks like the first time he's taken this Honda Accord out on the track. A Honda making its debut in the Gen 4 series here, so a special look for Tyler Rush, and he's looking to take it up further on the higher end of the board, but not going to happen. 21st, he'll have to settle with. Lowest qualifying time of the night so far, and it looks like for Tyler Rush, not going to pan out too well here in his Q session, and he'll have to back it down and back it onto pit road, as it looks like qualifying not going to fare too well for the driver of the 72. It's already over. Put in his 2 laps. 21st on the board. Justin Gibbs, Jacob Halm, Austin Bloom, and Ty Smith have not yet gone on the track, and it looks like that's going to be the way it stays with Rush down to pit road, and it looks like Lucas Lodano there as well. Drivers have made it in, and it looks like that will be all for qualifying here. 1 minute and 52 remaining. No drivers on the track, and as it stands, qualifying is already basically concluded. With that in mind, we're going to get a bit of a head start here because, drivers will head into the racing immediately thereafter. So let's take a look at your starting grid for tonight's event and get to know who's in the field for the third race of the season 16 here in the Highline Racing League. It is the Baadteshop 175, and without further ado, let's take a look at your starting grid here in Atlanta and find out who's got the stuff and who's gonna have to work for it. Up at the front of the board, Adam Bozzi in the number 27 shoot up to the pole position, and the number 27 takes the top spot directly ahead of Scott Zellner. Zellner up in front yet again, still chasing his first win of the season, close at Daytona with a podium, but now he wants a few spots higher to seal the deal and get it done officially. Then from there, Brad Kress going to be in the third slot in the number 9, and fourth will be held by Kendall Kerr in the number 21. Blacktop Racing teammates and Kendall Kerr's Lucas Oil Chevrolet got it done last week at Rockingham. It was River Page on the call then, so a different look tonight, but it's Kendall Kerr still looking for the same result in back-to-back weeks. Joshua Susi going to hold his own and be scored now in the 5th spot, with Chad Winstead then in 6th, and from there on out, the 4th row will be comprised of Lucas Lodano and Dylan Clark, the number 7 and the number 5 respectively, putting themselves in the single digits of qualifying, the number 7 in 7th position, all the same. Then you'll look at Alan Kunman, who's going to be 9th on the board, the number 8, and Roberto Roberto Ramirez will round out the top 10 as the 42 gets into that top 10 just barely by only 6/1000ths of a second. Right behind Roberto, it's going to be Toby Wedgwood just behind the top 10 mark, but Dylan Batiste going to be right there too, and Dylan will be the man who rounds out the first dozen of drivers. Dylan Batiste in the number 31, they're just ahead of James McKee and then Terry Brooks. That's row 7, 13th and 14th respectively. Looking a bit further back, you're also going to see Connor Holden's number 81, and the Jonestown Jet already has his fans in chat. That's Caleb Morrissey, and he'll be starting in 16th. Looking from there, Dylan Wedgwood making the transition to the Cup Series, and Dylan will be starting in 17th with Kenny Brooks right beside in 18th, and the 19th spot will be held by Scott Wheeler with DJ Stagner holding his own in position number 20. To round out the field, you're going to be Tyler Rushden in 21st and 22nd held by Ty Smith, and the final row of the grid will have Austin Bloom and Justin Gibbs. Then from there, one more in Jacob Palm to round out the 25-driver field here in Atlanta. That's the starting grid for the Body Shop 175, and drivers are rolling as we say hello to racing here in Atlanta. And Adam Bozzi going to be the man who leads the way right now in the number 27. Bozzi up in front of Scott Zellner, and these two drivers always competitive. But Adam has still not been able to break into the win category for quite some time here. Bozzi still trying to break through. Tonight will be a great opportunity to do so. It's a fast track, but it does require some finesse. And when Adam gets into it, he's a very good driver in regards to finessing and keeping that consistency. Second in the regular season run last season, but was not able to make a deep playoff run due to some obligations in the real world. So now's a chance to go back at it and try to chase some more victories. Adam Bozzi up in front as the fans have packed the stands tonight. It's a beautiful sight in Hampton, Georgia. Atlanta Motor Speedway packed to the brim with virtual fans. And if you enjoy tonight, be sure to let us know and leave a like and subscribe. Your support will help us along the way as Adam Bozzi looks to get a move on. The green flag will fly here in Atlanta. Bozzi and Zellner lead the field as the green flag flies for the first time in the Body Shop 175. And as they come down to the line, it's going to be 116 laps to go, and we notice that our onboard cameras might not be the correct ones, so we're going to do a bit of housekeeping here just to make sure the best quality cameras are in use. Camera provider Track Cam for Gorman's generously provided us updated in-car cameras for these ARCA machines, and we just put them in because it looks like they were not before, so the racing is going to look much better now the onboard cameras are to our liking. Take a look at this here as we'll get back on board with Bozzi once again. Now the more traditional FTN Camrys you might have come to know are back on these machines. You didn't see them at Daytona, might have not seen them at Rockingham, but thankfully, thanks to our amazing provider, Track Cam for Gourmets, we have them now, and the Gen 4s look better than ever coming to life so far tonight in Atlanta. Now, it looks like it's been a very spread out field early in the going. Single file, some double file with Toby Wedgwood, but for the most part, drivers have kept it away from one another, and it looks like that's the way it's going to stay. 115 laps to go, we're just getting our bearings in. Miss Misty in chat too, thank you for stopping by. Great to have you aboard. And as things get going here, Lawrence Stesweski, SSBB Nightwing, all coming through. And if you got a favorite driver, be sure to let us know. A lot of great talent here and a lot of great paint schemes. Every time I come back to this series and having a week off working with the NASCAR crew gave me a chance to sort of reflect. And I'll tell you this much, everyone here has a beautiful scheme. And one that really pops tonight, it's that number 29 America Online throwback. And it's for Body Shop themselves and James McKee. McKee, oh so successful last season, the winningest driver with 4 on the tour, and he's running a beautiful Kevin Harvick throwback, and that AOL look straight out of the early 2000s. A lot of fans who watch the channel, I don't believe, have much knowledge about AOL, but I'll tell you this much, for those who do know, It's a lot to remember, and a lot of great memories. Instant messaging, of course, the email service, internet providing as a whole, and those trials, and the iconic sound of "You've Got Mail" all come to mind as we look back to history. And America Online during the early 2000s, not as dominant as they were. The Time Warner cable merger, or Time Warner merger entirely, sort of set them back. And of course, the modern internet doesn't really see much use for AOL anymore. But the paint scheme comes back to life courtesy of our race sponsor for this event. And tonight, Baadteshop Design gives the paint scheme new life with James McKee running in the mid-pack right now. And overall, every driver feisty looking for spots. Up in front, you'll see now the Blacktop Racing drivers, of course, Kendall Kerr, Brad Kress, and Alan Kunman, all driving as hard as they can. And you can see the skew as we look at the overhead shot. These drivers are really pointed toward the left during the corners, and that's exactly how you gotta get it. These are not symmetrical as the early 2000s Gen 4s were. These are more like the 2008-2009 Impalas of the Nationwide Series, now converted to have Cup horsepower. So they look slightly different and perform slightly different. They're not symmetrical. You can see the skew to the left side, which gives them a bit of an advantage aerodynamically when they make it down through these left turns, and that's exactly the way you've got to do it as a driver. Make it happen, turn these lefts, and it might look easy, but certainly not going to be. The field is spread out by 5 seconds. Going back to Jacob Halm right now. Jacob going to hold his own, trying to keep up with the rest of the field, and it looks like so far nobody a major outlier, but some drivers struggling in terms of keeping pace. Throughout the field, our leading driver of Scott Zellner, he just ran a 32.043. Looking back to the back of the field, Jacob Halm ran a lap faster than our leader. He's dead last, and he's in 25th. So it's not because these drivers are slow per se, but it's because it's so hard to work with the aero, work with these drivers around you, and make those passes. You might be quick, but track position will define an awful lot early in the going. And right now for Scott Zellner, that is the case. The winningest driver in all of Highline Racing League history is up in front, and he's got himself the race lead just ahead of Lucas Lodato. Now Lodato, a truck driver coming into the season, given the opportunity to substitute in at Daytona, and from there, he's been on a very good run. Getting that experience in with the premier drivers is especially important, and right now, the number 7 machine getting that work back together as he'll go down to the bottom side to try to take the lead in only his 3rd career race, going for his 1st career victory. Lodato trying to put himself on the map, and he's doing a very good job of that so far. Let's take a look on board with the rear view camera here from Scott Zellner and find out how he's taking a look at this lead battle. And you'll see right now it's Scott Zellner currently in that 1st position, and he's got the Curb Group paint scheme, of course, on. Curb Records. Mike Curb, a very interesting character in itself. You might know Mike Curb as Richard Petty's former team owner when the number 43 stepped away from Petty Enterprises and went on to make a team with Mike Curb. He's also a politician. He also ran an orchestra. He also has been a major proponent of dirt racing as of recent. Mike Curb has just about done it all. I believe the Lieutenant Governor of California. Might have to check back on that. He's done quite a lot in racing, and that's an iconic brand in itself. Scott Zellner representing as Lucas Lodato goes up to the high side. Lily Sobey going to be a fan of the number 7, and it looks like right now it's going to be the number 7 up to the high side for the race lead. Going to be very loose off corner. Zellner now going to be put back in his 2nd. And Lucas Lodato goes up to the top. It's Lucas now going to be taking that lead. Scott Zellner fades back. And all of a sudden, now it's going to be a new driver up ahead. Lucas Lodato up in front with 105 remaining. There's still a ways to go, but a great pass. And now the battle is getting a bit more intense. Now, the important thing to note about these laps at Atlanta is how quick they will fly. You can see how quick these drivers have gotten by the opening sector of 13 laps, and there's still 105 remaining. Strategy is set to come into play in about 40-50 laps time, expecting a 2 to 3 stop strategy depending on how drivers choose to split it. We're not going to get 120 laps under green without having pit stops, especially, of course, with the way these drivers are running the fuel up in front. You've got to be aggressive. You cannot hold your punches back, and right now, drivers like Alan Kunman, Kendall Kerr, and even Brad Kress, they're coming back up. And it looks like now the Blacktop Racing boys are trying to make a charge of their own. Kendall Kerr going to be right behind the defending champion, Alan Kunman, looking to lead this wave in as the number 8 machine finds himself out in front, looking to take his teammates up to the top 2 spots. It's going to be Scott Zellner, the first man they've got to get by, and right now Zellner holding off well. There's a lot of time to get past the first step and go to the next. Kunman going to have to bide his time here, be a bit more patient than he'd like to be. But of course, patience is key in racing. If you cannot make it work being patient, it's going to come back to bite you, and it will be major. You can't afford to get too risky too early, because you might end up on the wrecker, and in this league, no faster bears. We've been saying that quite a lot on FTN. Most often, these drivers do not use faster bears, but it seems like on our past 2 broadcasts, we've been given one by chance. Tonight, that is not the case. I've confirmed there is officially no faster pair in the Highline Racing League, and usually these drivers and the admins, they always prepare it in advance, so shouldn't be expecting anything out of the norm from these guys. That's the way it usually goes, and it looks like that's the same tonight. But for out of the ordinary, Lucas Logano looking very good right now up in front. He's 16 laps in with the race lead, but Zellner now drops low, and looks like Scotty Z, with all the veteran experience that he has, will take it down to the bottom and look for the lead in his own right. Side by side at the stripe, Logano's got the edge, but Zellner's not going to hold it back either, and now with 102 remaining onto 101, it's going to be the driver, the number 7, holding fort and keeping himself up in the top spot. Looking back, you'll see Scott Zellner there in second and Alan Kunman then in third. Kendall Kerr going to be fourth and Brad Kress going to be position number 5. It'll be Adam Bozzi then in sixth with Terry Brooks 7th and Joshua Susi 8th, Chad Winstead 9th, and Dylan Petit in 10th. So far, some very good driving all around for every driver, keeping it going. And it looks like despite the fact it's been tough to keep the car planted, nobody's had an issue in going around, up and over, what have you. Atlanta has been tricky before. We've seen some major incidents on this configuration. The one that comes to mind for me first is Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, in the middle of their ongoing feud during the late 2000s, where they were going back and forth trying to destroy each other's equipment, maybe their own bodies. That's another story for another day. There was a huge wreck involving those two at Atlanta. At that time, Keselowski was a part-time driver, or rather, in the number 12 machine for Penske Racing, and Carl Edwards went and flipped him up and over, and it was a huge hit onto the windshield for that number 12. Tonight, I don't expect to see that. It's not as quick as a car tomorrow would be around Atlanta, but these Gen 4s, they pack some spurious speed, and they've got a great noise to go alongside them as well. 99 laps to go, and it looks like it's music to the ears of Lucas Logano. He'll lead the way with Scott Zellner second, Alan Kunman then third, and Brad Kress in fourth. Kendall Kerr is going to be fifth with Adam Bozzi then sixth, and Joshua Stussi's now 7th as they're still side by side for the lead. No much more that Lucas Logano can do, but keep holding on as Zellner uses that high side to his advantage. The caution will fly for the first time, and it looks to be back of the field. Yes, Toby Wedgwood and Kenny Brooks. Yellow flag is out. Ty Smith involved as well. Let's take a look back and find out what happened as your first yellow of the day will come out. Now we're taking the instant replay as you'll see Ty Smith back of the field. Contact there as it's going to be Kenny Brooks coming back up. They make it side by side, and it looks like from there, Ty Smith blinks off our screen, but either way, you can tell big time incident, and he goes through the grass, and from there, the caution will fly for the first time. Good opening stint, 21 laps in of 117, and we made some good time. The drivers already getting more experience with the track, and now they'll be rounded up for the first time tonight. Going to be led by Lucas Logano with Scott Zellner then second, Alan Kunman third, and Brad Kress in fourth. And so far, the pace car's lights are back on. Zellner going to be there in second for the pole position. Lucas Logano makes it back up one spot, and it looked like before we got that yellow flag out, the drivers in the Blacktop Brigade were coming through very quick. However, right now, tires are too much of a necessity, and the field will all come through this time by. So let's take a quick look at your race on a pit road as our pit road overlay comes right up. Take a look at this. Now it's going to be busy. Logano, Zellner, Kunman, Kress, And of course, Ken Luker and everyone out after will all come in this time by and make it to their pit stall in succession. And now it's time to find out who will make it out first. Taking a look already, the field is there, and the front runners are going to be in their stall. Looking right now, the timing will show you everyone's through. Now, Lodano's going to be out in front. Who will make it out first? That is the question. Looks like Lodano makes it out over Zellner, then Alan Kunman, not to be outdone by Adam Bozzi. Ken Luker, Brad Crest, Joshua Stussy, and in between Stussy looked to be Chad Winstead with Dylan Petit, Caleb Morrissey, then going to be James McKee, Terry Brooks, Dylan Clark, and Scott Wheeler, the top dozen. And just like that, they all file out of pit road, and it's no longer quite as busy. One thing remains the same, one very important thing. Lucas Lodano leads the way, and he'll keep it up in front as we head back to our caution coverage with 96 laps remaining. And Lucas Lodano looking very strong in the opening laps of this race, battling fiercely with Scott Zellner. I think these two are ones to watch as the night goes on, that's for certain. Especially given the performance in that run for Lodano longer into it. He was able to make some time back up from the start of the race, of course, on lap 1, all the way up to the caution point. So he'll go up high once again and try to run that higher groove. Making something happen up top looks to be the preference for the driver of that number 7. Scott Zellner would choose to take it back down low. Looks like the bottom side will be the choice for our pole sitter as he looks to keep that race lead and get back in it yet again. And as they come through this time by, the drivers are double file. Alan Kunman going to be right there with Adam Bozzi. And in addition, Ken Luker right alongside Brad Crest. The Blacktop Racing drivers have stuck together. Rest of the field, rest of the teammates, not so much. And right now, those drivers are definitely in a much different situation. If they're alone out in front, the 4 horsemen have been separate. Caleb Morrissey's inside the top 10, and Scott Wheeler's in 12th. But right now, it is Zellner holding the fort out in front. Scott Zellner down low. He's going to be second on the restart. Control is in the hands of Lucas Lodano as he is out in front. Going to be the green flag for the first restart of the day with 94 laps to go. Green flag going to be coming in this time by pace car. It is in, and the green flag will be out. First restart of the day. Zellner and Lodano get back to work. We're back on our way here from Atlanta. And on the back straightaway, Lucas Lodano able to get out in front and keep that race lead nice and smooth for Lucas. And now Adam Bozzi makes a big move and gets himself up at a second. Nice and smooth for Bozzi to take that spot and immediately grab himself to second position. Now Scott Zellner going to be on the short end of the stick, trying to make those spots back up, but so far going to be a bit more trouble in doing so. Driver the number 27 gets that runner-up position. Nice place to be. Scott Zellner right there in third, and they'll be side by side, the number 9 and the number 8, just to make it side by side indeed. It's going to be Laura Stazweski Jr. rooting for Caleb Morrissey as Morrissey finds himself right behind. That looks to be James McKee in a special paint scheme. Of course, in that 29, and just in front of him, you'll see the number 33. Now, that 33 machine is going to be, of course, not Caleb Morrissey, or is it? It looks like it is. Caleb Morrissey not running his usual number 6, and instead tonight running the number 33. So it looks like, unlike the usual look, Caleb Morrissey's got himself an Old Spice paint scheme to go along with Old Atlanta. So we'll keep up with that for the remainder of the season. Looks like a new, fresh look for the number 33 as Caleb Morrissey makes it through with 92 laps to go. He's just ahead of his teammate in Scott Wheeler. Both drivers are now 9th and 10th respectively, clawing in the rest of the field inside the single digits and trying to go even deeper in the top 10. Lucas Lodano, 24 laps in, finds himself up in front. Adam Bozzi going to be second, and Scott Zellner then in third. Rattling off the back straightaway, you'll see the movement of the camera. That's how quick these drivers are going, even in the simulation. They're rattling the cameras, making a move, and you can see that represented, of course, through the physics engine here on iRacing. Very advanced, very in-depth, and iRacing celebrating 15 years of operation. If you want to get into the fun, we'll tell you a bit more about how to do so later in the race. We got some special offers courtesy of iRacing to get you started, and we'd love to bring the fun to you. Now, we're giving this information out, I believe, for the first time. Late night crowd, not often that we have so many people tuning in for these announcements, so this one's a bit special. Come December, we have a major giveaway on FTN, and it will be huge indeed. We'll be giving away track programs from Watkins Glen. We've got hats. We have, in addition, iRacing promo codes. We've got bags from Toyota. We got bags from eBay. We've got bags from anything that came from Watkins Glen. Every souvenir the FTN team collected, we'll be bringing back to the fans, and we'll be giving them away. Now, that's tentatively scheduled for December, but it could be earlier, could be a bit later. Planning to get it done by the end of 2023, so if you want to get in on the FTN fun, we'd love to have you there, giving away some stuff to the community, who of course have given us all this opportunity. And with 89 laps to go, Lucas Lodano has been given the opportunity to run away. Take a look at the lead for Lucas here, and he's been doing great so far, getting the chance to run up in front, log those laps, and so far in his only third race of Premier Series competition, he has been a force to be reckoned with, out in front ahead of the winningest driver of all time, the defending champion, and his two teammates. No slouches around Lodano, but Lucas is simply quicker right now as he maintains position up in front with 88 laps remaining. Currently keeping it up in front, you'll see now Kendall Kerr going to be battling with Brad Kress and, of course, Alan Kunman. These three drivers have been hounding Scott Zellner lap after lap. Taking a look on board with Zellner here, and you will see how close that number 9 is. Now it's going to be Mopar just to the inside, and you can see the word mark of Dodge. That's how close Scott Zellner is to his competition. I love this helmet camera in specific, not only for showing the in-car perspective, but showing what is outside. It's especially amazing to see drivers down low. Right now, it looks like Zellner's got that bottom groove, but Alan Kunman might be creeping up, and two sides of the same coin, the inside and the outside perspective of racing, giving the complete picture all in one camera shot. That one's got to be the best of the new onboard cameras we're showing for the first time tonight, and it's a highlight of mine to have been able to bring that together in collaboration with track cams, because that one we did in fact modify to be FTN only. That one's special, and it's going to go along with some great racing all throughout the year with these Gen 4s. Up top, Kendall Kerr will go, and it looks like he's going to take Alan Kunman there too. Side by side, they'll still be, and they're going to maintain that side-by-side battle up in front. Looking from the back, we're going to take a look now at drivers who are in the middle of the field. Dylan Wedgwood going to be holding his own right now in 13th. He's going to see just behind him. That looks to be Connor Holden, and it will be for Swap Motorsports. Connor Holden is going to hold on in that 81 yet again in the middle of the field, and for Holden looking to get through a better regular season than the last. He was very close to making it into the playoff picture last season, just wasn't able to hold it down till the very end. And now this season could be a time to change that. There's a lot on the line, of course, with a full season points format, so top 10s and top 5s are a must. So much time still remaining on the board. It's not necessarily a panic to get up there. It's more about planning the method of how to do so effectively and efficiently. You don't want to wear out your tire here at Atlanta. It will not come back quite easily, and if you don't get a caution, you might just be stuck out on the wrong strategy overall. Now that number 81 machine goes down low, takes it deep on Dylan Wedgwood, has not been able to find the spot to pass, and James McKee will see the caution fly for the second time. Now we're going to be back under yellow with Toby Wedgwood involved, and it looks like Tyler Rush too. Caution's out. Second time as we're back under yellow yet again with 83 laps remaining. And now with the caution out once more, let's take a quick look back at what just happened. The FTN instant replay going to be out on the way, and it'll show you a bit of trouble back of field. This is, of course, Dylan Wedgwood. Now Toby gets into Tyler Rush, going to send them both up the track, beating and banging, and all of a sudden, both drivers going to be in some big trouble there as they will find themselves now down to the bottom of the track. Now, Just like that, caution's out for the second time. The Texaco Cutstone 52 of Toby Wedgwood down to the bottom, and that will be some trouble for him to regain position as the yellow flag's out for the second time here on FTN. Lucas Lodato leads the way, and he's going to take him through with 82 laps remaining. As it stands, we got 82 laps left on the board, so we're going to do a bit more housekeeping behind the scenes and give you a brief promotional break courtesy of one of our primary associates on FTN in Throttle Graphics and Designs. We'll be right back as we bring you one brief message and come back before the racing's on its way. You're watching the Baadteshop 175 here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we'll be right back after these brief messages.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
And after 37 laps here in Atlanta, it's going to be Lucas Lodato leading the way over Kendall Kerr, Alan Kunman, Adam Bozzi, and finally then Brad Kress to round out your top five. As it stands, the drivers remain in formation single file and are set to go double file this time by, with the restart coming with 79 laps to go. Coming through this time by, it's going to be Lucas Lodato looking to go down to the bottom here. Looks like Alan Kunman going to go up top, and Kendall Kerr will go down low with Adam Bozzi following your defending champion, and all of a sudden going to be a bit of a split in strategy as they take it through with 80 remaining. It's going to be some high, some low as always, and now Lucas Lodato facing some new competition. Scott Zellner going to fade back a bit further. It looks like Scott going to choose to go down to pit road and get new tires. Now this is a gamble here. He's banking on a long green flag run. His tires are 15 laps newer than that of Lucas Lodato, but at the same time, it is a big risk to do this so early. If there's a few yellow flags in succession, eventually Zellner will be back on cycle with the rest of the drivers, and that will mean he almost entirely wasted one set in the hopes of doing something different. Looks like tonight, not going to be able to do all too much, but it looks like now, as they come through this time by the number 2 machine, Zellner fading back, and Lucas Lodato up in front now has that lead. 7:21. Lodato, Kendall Kerr, and they are going to go for it this time by as they go through double file. 80 laps to go, coming to 79. It's going to be Lucas Lodato leading the second restart of the night as the green flag flies with 79 laps to go. Lodato has got it out in front. That number 7 machine is on rails, and as it stands, Lodato's going to have that advantage, and it is big. Rest of the field cannot compare, and as it stands, it's going to be Lodato up in front by a half a second over Kendall Kerr. Caution's out yet again, though. It looks like another yellow flag, and it's going to be thrown this time. It looks like for Toby Wedgwood, who's off the track now. Let's take it back and find out just what happened. Taking an instant replay once again. Wedgwood not going to be there on our end, so some trouble in finding out what brings out the caution. Looks like Jacob Hahn with some trouble in that number 76, and with 78 laps to go, yellow flag out once more. So the back of the field might have had some trouble packing it up. Timing and scoring not giving us a concise answer as you look throughout the field. Looks like most drivers keep it going, and no, there is smoke for a reason here. So up in front might have come there as we try to get a concise answer. Nothing giving us any reason to believe there's a wreck, save for, of course, the yellow flag out. But Looks like these drivers able to pack it up and keep it going. We did see, though, that Jacob Holm had damage. That might be the reason, and it looks like, unfortunately, nothing more going to come of it. We are going to take it one more time under instant replay and try to look at what's going on, go from a wider camera angle, and try to understand the situation. Let's take it back 60 more seconds to analyze the circumstances, as we have 77 laps still left on the board. Taking it wide, and you're going to see the front of the field, and it looks like the back of the pack there as well. Taking it further through, you can see the number 18 machine of Ty Smith. He's alone there, and double file with this wide angle. Everyone racing each other as hard as they can get, but nothing indicating a wreck of any sort. Now, we're looking through it again. Every driver is on our frame, so we're having no trouble seeing people. The big question is, when did this wreck happen? It looks like right now, iRacing does not want to tell us, as it's not giving us any clue. There is smoke, but it looks like whoever the driver was already was able to pull it off the track, and that's giving me the belief it is Toby Wedgwood. Nothing else is giving us anything to believe, of course, but it looks like the caution will fly. Thankfully, the drivers involved are going to be able to pull it off, and we'll get back on the move without much hesitation. Lucas Lodato still leads the way, a bit of a short blip as we send it back to our live feed. And it looks like now Lodato is going to lead it single file yet again. Timing and scoring giving us a bit trouble, as we have been going back to back on broadcasting for the majority of the night. Looked to be on the restart there, so it looks like we somehow missed it immediately. We're going to take it back and try to find out. Looks like the camera's not doing us all too much justice. Timing and scoring a bit wearing out in itself, so we're going to take it back further to make sure we see it all over again. So Brian Casey, appreciate that. Looks like a tidbit I did not catch, and we'll be sure to look back at it before things get going once again. As we go through with now a total of 76 laps left on the board, we've still got all the ways to go here in Atlanta, and we're going to take one more look back at that wreck. Looks like we've got the understanding of when it happened, but the caution is thrown pretty late, and that's the reason I'm a bit confused, and might be the same for a few of these drivers. Now we're going to take it back, wide angle and all, as the instant replay will send us back to our most recent restart. And trying to get that instant replay to work with us here. Now it is, and you can see the replay back in motion, sending us a bit further back and forth. Restart, we're going to be going right back to find out what happened. Now we've got a much better perspective, and you'll see drivers getting on the move here, and it looks like James McKee going to check up. Nothing major there, but then from there, yes, it's going to be Scott Zellner involved, and there we have it. Zellner, your former race leader, is the man who gets caught up, and now the timing and scoring gives us a full answer. Former race leader in Zellner has faded back big, and he's the reason the caution will fly. 76 laps to go, now to 75, and it was Zellner involved. Now that we look back in front, the leaders are double file, and it looks like a bit of an oversight there with the camera system and my end. So now that everything is fixed, we're looking forward to getting back on the way and understanding everything from here on out. 65 miles an hour, pace car speed with 75 laps remaining, and the first 43 have come and gone. Now the question is, we've seen a few yellow flags in succession, bumping up the time for the remainder of this race. Can we get a long green flag running, or will we see the drivers go a bit longer and maybe get it done? Short runs, long runs. Can we see a bit more from the long end? That remains to be seen here, as Lodato looks to lead him down to the start-finish line once again. The 7 and the 8. First and second, inside and outside, and they're set to go back at it here and now. Atlanta's given us some good racing so far. Still more than half of this one to go, as we're 43 laps through, coming to 44. Green flag coming in, this time by pace cars down and in. It's going to be Kunman and Lodato as the green flag will fly for restart number 3 as we get it back going. Lucas Lodato able to charge up to the head of the field and have Alan Kunman now in second. Top two drivers going to remain the same here. And then from there, Adam Bozzi going to be with Kendall Kerr. Chad Winstead's going to be fifth. DJ Stagner will be then in sixth. And Brad Kress is seventh, as it looks like now there's some pressure just behind from James McKee and Scott Wheeler. Wheeler now finds himself inside the single digits, and the top 10 he's now in, as drivers are going high and low, different lines being formed, and DJ Stagner now going to be in sixth. Have not talked about him all night long, but Stagner has been very quick this season, and he's been an ace in the Gen 4s to this point. Almost won at Rockingham, swept Daytona in the trucks and the Premier Series, and so far he's been the driver to beat all season long. Haven't mentioned him much coming into the season in 14 and 15, but now with the next gens back for the first time since Scott Wheeler got his first championship, it's now time to see what Stagner can do, bringing himself back to the table as a former champion as well, going back to season 10, and now he's back again with the Holden Wieners Chevrolet now inside the fifth spot, looking to get in front of both Bozzi and Kendall Kerr, who are now just ahead of him, trying to hold up some traffic here as Lucas Lodato continues to pull away. He has that track position advantage and the clean air working to his favor. He's been in this tire stint for only a total of 47 laps now, according to timing and scoring. That's not officially the case, according to our calculations. It's more about 30 laps. The first 15 drivers came down to pit road, so 47 isn't accurate as DJ Stagner brushes the wall, and DJ finds himself fading back a bit further. Chad Winstead goes down low and takes Scott Wheeler right there with them, slicing and dicing. 71 laps remaining, and these two drivers are going to be a bit more squirrely up and down. And right now, the number 64 of DJ Stagner certainly knows what he's got to do to keep these positions up, keeping that high side and drivers running different grooves. Kendall Kerr didn't mean to go up that high, but it looks like the high side is developing at the same time as the low line, so two grooves going to be put into play at the same time. And now both drivers, of course, the top siders and the low siders, trying to make up some time, get that advantage, and make it happen till the end. With 70 laps remaining, we can definitely see some differences in the way these drivers are working it, but overall, they've been able to make very similar lap time. The high side getting a bit more momentum off the corner. The low side does cut some distance, but it is even grippier on the low side if you can run the paint. Now, that's something we haven't seen all too much tonight, running the paint. And it looks like some drivers are trying to attempt to get that far down low, but it's very tricky with all the bumps. According to what we've seen in the real world and in the sim, if you can run all the way down to the bottom and get on the paint, it's a grippier strip of the track, and it'll give you a bit more to run with if you want to work that bottom side in. 68 laps to go, coming from 69, and it's a nice advantage for Lucas Lodato, who's running the middle groove and making the best of both worlds right now. Looks like he's especially confident in what he has as he continues to work it time after time. Looks like now the number 7 machine putting it into good use with Alan Kunman second, then third going to be Adam Bozzi, and Dylan Petit now finds himself there in fourth. Dylan going to be almost outside of the confines of the top 5, just staying within it as the fight keeps on going. Nice and smooth for the number 31 machine, and he's been up and down the order from the very beginning. Currently taking a look at his statistics, high of 6th place before this lap, low of 18. Currently finds himself in the 4th spot, so he's jumped up 14 spots and would be the hard charger of this race if it were to end here and now. Very good run for Dylan Petit to this point, and Dylan's putting on a show as he keeps himself in front of everyone but Lucas Lodato. Now Alan Kunman's going to find himself in third, Adam Bozzi's going to be fourth, and Kendall Kerr will be fifth, as Scott Wheeler's now sixth, and a bit of back and forth motion. One driver blinking, that's Kunman, and he's dropping back big as he just gets back on the track. The number 31 machine of Petit is now in second, and because of that Kunman blink out, it looks like he's going to gain not 1, but 2, but 3. Now Dylan Petit finds himself himself up at the front of the field, and he is a rocket ship now. It's Dylan Petit leading the way, and all of a sudden, new driver up in front with 65 laps to go. Dylan Petit now ahead of Lucas Lodato. What looked to be an insurmountable advantage becomes a pass as easy as it can get, and now there's a new man at the top of the board. There's Sabine Banga though, and is it going to revolve into a wreck? It will. Going to be Dylan Wedgwood, DJ Stagner, and all of a sudden, lead change, and it looks like a yellow flag will go with it. Caution is out, and it's going to come with DJ Stagner getting involved in his first incident of the season, and he's almost beached it. Is he going to get out? It looks like he will, but he's going to get involved with Dylan Wedgwood at the same time. Caution is out for Wedgwood and Stagner, and now we're going to be back under yellow yet again. Let's take a look back at what just happened here with an instant replay on the matter and find out what caused this one. See, just getting loose off the corner, he's going to spin it. Wedgwood does, and further on back, Chad Winstead's able to get back in control, but loses time as well. So 3 drivers, Chad Winstead, Dylan Wedgwood, and DJ Stagner, all involved with 64 laps to go, and that will bring out the yellow flag as we come back to the racing with, of course, 64 laps to go now. It will be about 60 laps remaining flat when we get back to the green flag. Now drivers come down to pit road yet again. The race is going to be intense, and as they come through this time by, let's see who's got it and who does not. Pit road's going to be busy as the field comes through. Scott Zellner going to be one of the many drivers in, and now we're going to find out who's got that speed on pit exit. Zellner actually stays out this time by, and timing and scoring will now show he's away from pit road, as we'll take a look at who's got it off of pit exit. At the line, it looks to be a clear victory there for the driver of that number 42. Ramirez is still out, but it looks like overall off of pit road going to be a big overall advantage for the driver of that number 31. Dylan Petit over Lucas Lodato, then Adam Bozzi, then going to be Kendall Kerr, and from there Alan Kunman. So some big shifting with 63 to go, and all of a sudden going to be pit road very busy tonight. Once again, second pit cycle, and only 4 drivers opt to stay out. Leader Scott Zellner now getting that track position back. He's going to be off cycle and keep it that way. Caleb Morrissey, Roberto Ramirez, and Terry Brooks. So most of the field going to opt to go down to pit road yet again. Looks like now it's 63 remaining, getting closer to our halfway point. You don't want to risk it for the remainder of this race, but that is exactly what drivers like Zellner are setting out to do. Of course, we saw that Scott Zellner running a bit of a different strategies off the cycle that most drivers are using, and he's going to keep it that way right now with 62 laps remaining. He's holding his own, keeping himself up in front with Caleb Morrissey just behind, and as they come through time after time, 62 laps to go now. They'll be set to go green in just 2 laps. The field's catching up, and the rest of the field is indeed there. Dylan Clark now going to be 14th, just behind Connor Holden, Joshua Susi, and Ty Smith, with Kenny Brooks, Justin Gibbs, Dylan Wedgwood, and DJ Stagner rounding out the top 20. Despite the incident, minor damage for all parties involved, and it looks like they'll be back on the way despite the incident at hand. And just like that, it's going to be Zellner, Morrissey, Ramirez, and Terry Brooks, your top 4, entering the next restart. And as the field will come through this time by, Scott Zellner gets back in front, and this time it's not going to be on the pace he had earlier. It's instead going to be on that strategy. Pit road going to do him a favor. A lot of drivers come in. He's not one of them, and now he'll be there looking to fight until the very end. Driver the number 2 is going to be first, with Caleb Morrissey second, Roberto Ramirez third, and Terry Brooks in 4th. 1 lap to go until we get back to it for the restart number 4. Zellner's up top, and Caleb Morrissey chooses low, at very little buffer for these drivers on older tires, so it's a risk they're going to have to take. Lucas Lodato is the first man who's going to be on new tires, and it looks like he's going to be back up in front with Dylan Petit on the bottom side. They're going to be controlling the first row of new tires. Then there's going to be Adam Bozzi, Kendall Kerr, Alan Kunman, and Scott Wheeler. So now there's a definitely different sense of drivers up in front. It's those who have made it there with some strategy and those who got through pit road the quickest. Same old for those on pit road, but some different faces up in front looking to secure a race victory. Morrissey won twice last season. Zellner won once in official competition and once in an exhibition event, so he has been good as well. Both of these drivers are winning. Of course, they are capable of winning, I'd say, but right now, looks like it's going to be some strategy they'll try to play as a Hail Mary maneuver already far off the cycle, so we'll see if it plays out their way or if it's not going to be their night. This might be the determining restarts. And now coming through this time by Caleb Morrissey, going to be down low with Scott Zellner up top. Green flags out yet again with 60 laps remaining. We're back on our way from Atlanta. And as we return, the instant replay going to be on your screen with 56 laps to go. Another incident, but this time Caleb Morrissey getting loose on old tires, and it is going to cost him. The 33 slides low, tries to come back up, then hits Adam Bozzi, and that's going to be the killing blow for the 33's track position, and it might be some major damage for Adam Bozzi too. Yellow flag is going to fly yet again with 55 laps remaining, and all of a sudden trouble is going to brew in the number 27 garage as Bozzi might have some major motor damage to take care of for the rest of the night. All of a sudden, Roberto Ramirez is going to be leading the way with Lucas Lodato second, Austin Bloom third, and Alan Kunman in fourth. Scott Wheeler Jr. going to be fifth, and Terry Brooks will be sixth, with Kendall Kerr seventh, Connor Holden eighth, and Dylan Petit in ninth. Brad Kress will be the final man inside the top 10, and as it stands, it looks like Roberto Ramirez holding on, one of the few drivers on older tires trying to make a difference. Terry Brooks on a 21-old set, so 21 laps of age, but Ramirez is the only driver running a set that is older than 35 laps, so that is a big change compared to the drivers, of course, surrounding him. And despite this fact, he is sticking it out here, not going down a pit road, and it looks like as he eyes pit road this time through, he will still continue to have belief in what he's got, and the equipment will hold on. Roberto Ramirez opts to stay out on the track. And with 54 laps to go, he will be the leading man as we come by for yet another caution lap. Now, with 54 laps remaining, we are already more than halfway into this race, and to tell you this much, the weather here a bit different than the most recent race we broadcasted at Daytona just a few hours ago. 88 degrees, and it's going to be quite the heater with 10 miles an hour winds facing northwest, partly cloudy skies, so these guys are going to have a bit more wind to play with. It's going to be warmer, and the track will definitely be a bit more slick than if it were to be at the nighttime, so they're feeling those changes, and as a result, it's a bit more challenging to drive the equipment they've got. These cars are bouncing up and down, and it's going to be very tricky to do anything more but try to keep it on the track. So right now, drivers facing that difficulty will keep holding on with 54 laps remaining, heading down to 53. Restart's going to be coming at 52, so not much to worry about for these drivers. The final stretch just moments away if they can get back into a groove here, and that's the way it's going to go. 54 laps remaining. And the field is flying once again to the start-finish line, but flying not necessarily, I'll say, but at 64 miles an hour, only one more pace lap before we're back under green. Roberto Ramirez opts to go high with Lucas Lodano down low, and not quite sure if that's going to be the move to make, and it looks like Lucas is going to pull up to that bottom side. Austin Bloom is in third, Alan Cummett is fourth, and Scott Wheeler is in fifth. Terry Brooks is now position number 6, and Kendall Kerr is in 7th, so the drivers who have been consistently up in front now mixing with those, risking it all on strategy and finding some newfound pace. Ramirez is taking the biggest risk of them all right now, and I'm not quite sure if it can pay off, but he's going to be the man who finds out for everyone if these old tires can still last amidst all the heat and all the trouble that we've seen so far. Maybe not going to work out, but that remains to be seen with 53 laps left. Field flies by one more time. Going to be Roberto Ramirez down low, Lucas Lodano up top, and Austin Bloom then on the high side two in third. Going to be double file this time by with Ramirez on the high side on old tires, and we'll see whether or not it works out for him as they'll take it to the green flag this time through. Pace cars in. This will be a restart number 5. Green flag's going to be out yet again with 52 laps to go. Ramirez going to try to hold on, and he will get loose and go to the grass. Nobody else catches him, but Roberto Ramirez risks it all and finds himself on the grass immediately thereafter. How about this one for Roberto Ramirez? Heartbreak on the restart, and it looks like he's going to be all out of shape. 52 laps to go, and he will be caught out immediately. And Ramirez finds himself once again on the short end of the stick here with strategy. Take a look at this one again and find out what happened. Now we're taking a look very far back on the restart here, so we're going to play it a bit further, quicker with speed, and get back to the moment of truth. Ramirez going to be there in that 42 high side, and it looks like the tires squeal, and he's just not able to control it. Luckily, Lucas Lodano sees it coming. He pulls back, lets Ramirez get the lead, and it looks like Connor Holden goes down there too. Both drivers struggling. No contact though, so the yellow flag will not fly for these two, despite the fact they immediately went down a pit road nearly and ended up far away from the group up in front. Old tires are not going to pay off, and the gamble is going to show itself. Its true colors don't work out quite well in actuality. Ramirez is almost 1 lap down now with Scott Wheeler out in front. It's Lucas Lodano down low with Alan Kunman up top. And now the battle for second going to begin with the drivers fighting each other off the corner. It's going to be Lodano's Dodge working down low and the Impala of Alan Kunman up on the high side. Side by side going through, and it looks like with 50 laps remaining, Now the question is Scott Wheeler the one with the pace till the end? Lucas Logano got past quite quickly there on the restart, and it looks like holding back for Ramirez while saving his race in its entirety might have set him back in another regard. Now Wheeler has that race lead and that track position. It has been oh so important, and 69 laps in, it's a very nice thing to have. And Wheeler, who knows how to work with these Gen 4 machines, having it right now might be the most dangerous thing for the rest of the field. And that could change, of course, but right now for Wheeler, it looks like he's got that lead, and he's got it firmly as they'll come around yet again to make it only 48 laps left. And right now, it's going to be the only driver within the vicinity of Scott Wheeler, Alan Kunman. He's got a chance to work down to the low line this time through, and it looks like he'll stay on the back bumper as opposed to making that decision. Alan Kunman creeping into frame here. If he gets it down to the bottom, we're sure to see a fight for the lead. And looking on board with Scott Wheeler, he's got that steering wheel working precisely. But if Alan Kunman can drop it in, it's going to be a definitely harder fight to keep that top spot up. Looking from the traditional rear view perspective, you will see Kunman is right there, and off the corners he's got enough draft to stay right with them and maybe even be just a bit quicker. Not major, but it is definitely noticeable that it is the number 8 machine representing Flow Racing getting closer and closer yet again. 47 laps to go here for these top two, Wheeler and Kunman. We've seen them battle before time and time again. The two-time champion of Scott Wheeler now going to see Alan take it deep, and he's got a shot to take it down low and go for the race lead in its entirety. Alan Kunman now finds himself up in front, but only for a moment's notice. Wheeler gets it right back, and now it's going to be toss and turn back and forth between your top two drivers. And Alan Kunman, while getting oh so close that time through, does not make it happen, and Scott Wheeler remains out in front. Able to get it right back there, even though that's the closest Alan has gotten. The pressure does not get him, and he will not fold. Scott Wheeler remains out in front, nice and smooth, and right there just has to keep the pressure away from his mind and keep it going despite all that was going on around him. Very big moment for the number 97 to keep it going, and it looks like he's going to do just what needs to be done as we're going to take a lap on board with your current race leader of Scott Wheeler Jr. And you can see right now Wheeler getting into his groove, focusing on that rhythm as opposed to the drivers behind him. As a matter of fact, in this lap alone, Lucas Logano has been able to chase back that number 8 of Kunman, and now it's going to be Lucas who's in second, and it looks like that time by you is just about as quick as that number 97. First and second now going to be separate by a total of 0.7 of a second. Right now, looks like it could be Lucas just close enough to maybe get the draft and close him back in. The question for Logano tonight has always been, can he keep that lead? Now that he doesn't have it, he's got to rein it back in. And for the fastest driver all night long, making the conversion from the Truck Series up to the Premier Series, it's been a very impressive standout performance for this number 7 all night long. Now he's got to try to wrap it up, but he's got a ways to go because it looks like now Wheeler is definitely pulling away. Nice and smooth movements for Scott Wheeler that time through to keep it just at the 0.7 of a second mark despite the lap traffic. Ramirez in the wall that time, and it looks like for Roberto Ramirez really does not work it out. Very unfortunate for that number 42, but it does not happen that time around. Ramirez just does not have control, and right now he's 1 lap down. The only driver who's still racing who's 1 lap down. Only 2 other drivers outside of this race. They're 79 laps down. Toby Wedgwood and Tyler Rush both getting wrecked, and Ramirez is close to it again. Very loose that time, passing Lucas Lodano. It was very close between the two drivers, and luckily nothing will come of it. And just like that, the number 7 machine sees a 42 still bobbling. He hits the wall once again, and Ramirez is going to continue to trace down the order. Luckily, no contact with anyone, but he'll have to keep it up there. Nothing more he can do as the field flies by. 2 old tires, and that's going to give him a lot of trouble. The age on the tire does matter a lot here in Atlanta, and it takes these tires and it shreds them. So even though it looked to be the best gamble for track position, it's going to come back to bite him in the end, and Roberto Ramirez now continues to fade back. Just like that, 40 laps remaining, and all of a sudden, Scott Wheeler's got that big edge in the Dent Wizard number 97. Gonna be even less than that now, but 0.8 of a second back. Lucas Lodano still is. Alan Cummin is 3rd, and Kendall Kerr is in 4th. Side by side, the 2 Blacktop Racing teammates were for a moment. Alan Cummin has the edge, but Kendall Kerr did go down low there. Just wasn't able to make anything of it, so nothing will come through that time by, and the number 21 of Kendall Kerr remains down low. Up and down throughout the order, looks like mainly the same on this run as drivers have continued to get into a rhythm. Now the final stretch just ahead of these guys, and they gotta wonder what can they do to get that position back, get up in front, and maybe make a few more passes before it's all said and done. Now it looks like passing is going to become much more regular, and you can see right now the drivers are really fighting for it. Scott Zellner going to stay inside the top 5, and actually he's on younger tires now, pitted 17 laps ago, and despite the gamble and despite the incident earlier, he's made his way back into the top 5 and now chases the podium. All of a sudden, Zellner back on a mission, and his strategy coming back very nicely from the back of the field up into the front. It's been an up and down day for Scott Zellner, and you can see as high as the 1st position, as low as 23rd, and now up into 5th again. Not going to be a great race for him, of course, if he loses these many positions and doesn't get that chance at a podium, but a nice recovery effort all the same, making up time that almost looked to be surefire loss. And now, even on the back bumper of Kendall Kerr here, and that could lead him up to Alan Cunman and give him a chance all the same and making it happen for a top 3. Lucas Lodano's about a second away now from Scott Wheeler, so nothing has come of the number 7 machine. Had a bit of speed, but it looks like not only is Scott Wheeler maintaining that race lead, but now he is extending the gap. And the number 97 looking to come home for the first time this season. He's about as close as he can get to that race win without having it here. Just has to master 36 more laps. Put the effort in, make it happen, put the time through, and maybe come through with yet another top spot at the end of the day. Multiple wins in both season 14 and 15, but season 15 a bit of a step back from that championship year, his 2nd in succession. And now with these Gen 4s back in the way and DJ Stagner gaining all the spots back to get up to 6th, this might not be the biggest night to put a dent in the championship, but a win is a win, and it's always valuable. So even if you find yourself, of course, out of contention for the point standings for now, building up these big finishes, big, of course, moments in the top 5s, top 3s, and race victories, if someone makes a mistake ahead of you, eventually you will see it pay off, and it might just come down to mistakes later in the season. So building up race after race is best for Scott Wheeler, and that's what he has done so far as he finds himself out ahead with 34 laps remaining. And now, of course, that lead is going to be about a 2nd and 2/10. Going back, Lucas Lodano up and down throughout the order, fluctuating, but staying in 2nd now. Sees Alan Cummin and Kendall Kerr begin to battle, and even then, Scott Zellner begins to come into play, and Zellner all of a sudden might have a chance at 2nd place on the night. He's now going to be just beyond the Blacktop Racing duo, who are just ahead, and they're going to only be separate by about 0.2 of a second here as Zellner continues to catch him. Take a look on board with Scott Zellner here as we're going to find out what he's got in store as we watch on board from the roll bar camera. And right now, Scott and Zellner are going to see two drivers single file right ahead, and both are for position. So getting that draft on Alan Cummin is as important as it can get. And using that low side, trying to get on the paint, get a bit more grip. And you can see he got it down low there and gets a bit more speed. He might have had a bit more of a shallow exit, but still on Cummin despite the fact. And just like that, the paint line going to be put into use. And Zellner using that alongside his much newer tires to make a dent. And now Alan Cummin going to be in much more trouble. You can see now with Cummin working it off the corner, he gets much more loose, and Scott Zellner going to make it by before we could even see it. Scott Zellner now going to be in fourth, chasing down the podium. It's going to be an up and down night for Zellner for certain, but now another chance at the top three is there. And as you can see, high was now, of course, first, low was 23rd, up now into position number 4. Big move for Scott Zellner as we come through with 30 laps remaining, and Kendall Kerr is going to be chasing down Lucas Lodato as well. But now, even Scott Wheeler's lead is dissipating. It's only 0.7 of a second, so all of a sudden, it looks like every driver gaining on one another, and at the same time, Scott Zellner is the quickest. If everyone's coming back closer and closer, maybe now there's a chance to find Scott Zellner the winning contention, and Wheeler is losing time big. Time after time, lap after lap, he's losing at least 1/10 of a second, and that is major. Maybe he's worn out his stuff here. Tire saving coming into play, and it looks like Zellner might be doing a better job than Wheeler. The two Scotts find themselves on opposite ends of the top 5, but now it looks like Wheeler might be on the opposite end of the pace spectrum. He's losing time. Lucas Lodato, Kendall Kerr, and notably Zellner are all much quicker. And now with 29 laps to go, 4 drivers, maybe even 5, of a realistic shot to chase down our race leader. Scott Wheeler is clearly slower that time through. 0.2 of a second, as a matter of fact. It was a 33.253 for Lucas Lodato, and for Scott Wheeler, it was a 33.444. So very bad news here for Wheeler if he's going to try to keep on going. It looks like he's wearing out his stuff, and Kendall Kerr is now going to Lucas Lodato, so they're going to be shifting positions before even getting to the leader. This gives another chance for Scott Zellner to get by Lucas, and Lodato might fall out of the podium positions entirely. All of a sudden, new drivers making up the podium. Kendall Kerr gets the second, and he's looking for a back-to-back chance at victory, as he's now going to be the runner-up spot with Scott Wheeler just ahead. We'll see how much longer Lucas Lodato can hold on to it. He's going to be third right now, working off the back straightaway with 27 laps to go. Down to the low side, you can see Scott Zellner takes it yet again, and it looks like that number 2 machine holds on strong, gets it through, and gets ahead for third. So all of a sudden, Zellner going to be third, Kendall Kerr going to be second, and it's going to be Scott Wheeler overall, still the race leader, but with 26 laps to go, both the driver, the number 21, and the driver of the number 2 are making time, and it looks like now Lucas Lodato puts up one final fight. Zellner goes high, and it looks like he's going to shut the door on that matter, and Kendall Kerr is as quick as it can get. That time by 0.2 of a second quicker than both Wheeler and Scott Zellner. Now this is going to be some big movement as the 21 makes it through, this time by off of corner number 4. The Lucas Oil Chevrolet is as quick as it gets, and with 25 left, now it's going to be up to the number 21 to make it 2. Scott Wheeler, if there's anyone that can give it a fight, it looks to be Kendall Kerr. One man down to pit road this time by, though, looks to be Dylan Wedgwood, who spun to pit road, so not going to be an intended pit stop. That might be the case here, as there's some trouble on pit road with 25 laps remaining. Dylan Wedgwood going to go around spinning and get back on the way. Now it looks like there's some trouble on pit road, but no competitive pit stops being made just yet. And all of a sudden, now pit road might become a possibility, but such little time. Yes, TJ Stagner just went. Now pit road is becoming part of the cycle here, and there will be one more pit stop the way things are going. Stagner down and in this time through. Looks like he's going to be there with Dylan Wedgwood. And now the leaders are going to have to think about when they come through with 24 laps to go, heading to 23. Pit stops are going to be coming and going as the cycle is now going to go on just before the tires really kick in for Wheeler. You'll see Kendall Kerr at the line go for the race lead. He's up top. looking for an edge, and now he's got it. Up in front, Kendall Kerr is going to lead, and he'll get it by Scott Wheeler almost entirely as they come through the back straightaway. With 22 laps to go, as always, on FTN, we're going to crank it up with our premier camera partner, Track Cam for Gormits, with 22 laps to go, and got ourselves with the best cameras on iRacing, lap after lap, with uninterrupted footage, the sights and sounds of Gen 4 Racing, brought to you courtesy of Track Cams for Gormits and TrackCams22.com. Let's crank it up with 22 laps to go here in the Body Shop 175. And as we come to the triple digits here in Atlanta, lap 101, and Joshua Susi leads the way. But right now, pit road still is going to be busy. Courtesy of our Track Cams for Gormans, crank it up. You saw some drivers coming through, some guys back on the way, and overall, it's been dicey as you'll see a big pack up in front. As it stands, timing and scoring is giving the effective race lead to Scott Zellner. Zellner would be the man up in front, save for DJ Stagner and Caleb Morrissey. So that's going to put a wrench in the equation. They got onto pit road earlier, and the undercut has worked out. 16 laps to go for DJ Stagner if he wants to come through with his second win of the season. First of which, of course, came at Daytona. Kendall Kerr got it done at Rockingham, and now it looks to be time for Stagner to get it done. The number 64 is out in front, and he is there with a chance to get it done with 15 laps remaining. Stagner's out in front by 0.8 of a second over Morrissey. Scott Zellner is going to be in fourth, and Austin Bloom is now going to be the man who rounds out the top 5. This is where it gets very, very close. Maybe a bit too close for comfort, as Zellner's going to take it down to the inside on Morrissey, get by his teammate, and he's going to use that paint line to get on through. Big move for Scott Zellner, up in a second already. Now the question is, how much can he gain on DJ Stagner, and when can he do it? That time by, it looked like he was 0.2 of a second quicker. Stagner about a 32-second flat, and it was Scott Zellner with a 31.73, so even more than 0.2 that time by. And the gap might become a bit shorter, as it's now about 0.6 of a second. 14 laps to go. Turns 3 and 4. They'll take it by once again, and the Stagner 64 machine is absolutely hauling through as it makes it to the Geico restart zone yet again. A baker's dozen to do it. It's going to be the Holden Wiener Chevrolet out in front. 13 laps left, and now it's going to be all down to Joshua Susi. When he comes down to pit road, the cycle will be over, but Joshua is trying to stretch it. And right now, it's a big risk to take, a 19-second lead over 13 seconds, so in theory, he could go 1 second a lap slower and still find himself the leader, but the way things are right now, the question is whether or not he even has enough fuel to try that method, and even then, I don't think it's going to work out. The way these drivers have been coming through, 55 laps looks to be the absolute maximum, and right now it looks like Susi's up to 50 on this stint, so really nothing to hold out for this number 92, effectively out of the conversation. But with 12 laps to go, it's not necessarily a done deal. DJ Stagner still leads those who are on newer tires, but Scott Zellner's coming through, and the rocket ship is coming back. It looks like now the Fuel Me number 2, fueled by, of course, getting back up in front. The motivation to get through despite all the incidents and all the troubles has now make the charge. Now it's going to be Scott Zellner down to the bottom side, takes the race lead and finds himself up in front. 106 laps in. How about Zellner leads the way and finds himself up in front with 11 laps remaining. This is critical for his chances to come through with another victory. This time his first of the season. He's now going to be as close as he's gotten all season long. DJ Stagner remains on his outside though, and now it's going to be DJ trying to find an opportunity to make it back around. Side by side they were for about a half lap there. Now Stagner's going to be on the back bumper, and the question is if there's anything still saved in those tires. They've been worn to nearly shreds by this point, so it's going to be tricky, and right now I don't even think there's enough left to make it happen. As they come through once again, 11 laps to go. Going to be now up to 10, and the field will come by once more. Green flag going to be out. The single digits are up next, and Joshua Susi has indeed come down to pit road. So Joshua is in. Your race leader is down to pit road, and Scott Zellner's out in front. Shelly Babinchak in chat, of course, representing Scott Zellner in the number 2 crew as they chase another record-setting win. 13 will be the all-time high mark, of course, established by Zellner previously, getting it up to 12 last season, and now looking to break his own record. 9 laps to go for Scott Zellner as he looks to go, pushing toward new heights and trying to do it all over again. Zellner's got the edge as it stands, and it looks like he's going to keep it that way. DJ Stagner gets loose, still trying to keep it going, and this would be Stagner's 3rd consecutive finish on the podium if he even keeps it this way. He won at Daytona, came home 2nd at Rockingham, and has kept the momentum going. The strongest driver throughout the first part of the season, clearly the man to beat for the championship to this point, and it looks like Stagner's going to keep it that way. 2nd place is still a major achievement here with a point situation, so right now if DJ can get just another top 2, he'll be firmly in the lead of the points no matter what happens. Zellner going to be the only man, of course, to get more points than him tonight. Of course, Lucas Lodato getting bonus points, so he might even out, but this race victory is the only major difference, and right now Zellner's got that lead, and with 7 laps to go, coming this time by, it's going to be a hard task for anyone to take it away. Looking further back, some battles between Alan Koodman, James McKee, and Scott Wheeler, all fighting for a top 5 spot. You can see they're all going to be working each other over. The Blacktop boys are going to be in the 8 and the 29, all working right behind Scott Wheeler. Wheeler's got 4th. James McKee now is going to be scored in 5th, and Alan Cummin in 6th. Not in 2nd. He's faded back a bit further than that, but it looks like now the number 97 is still facing that pressure and not backing down. James McKee's now getting a man right on him on the back bumper. He goes up high, tries to get something going there, maybe a bit more momentum. Wheeler's going to go right up high, and he skates up there and looks much slower while doing so. McKee's going to get a run, but decides to hold off here. Gets to the back bumper, almost gets some push in the arrow, and doesn't make anything of it so far, but he'll try to drop it down low and take it to the bottom side for a low line pass. Takes it to the bottom groove. Maybe there's a chance there, but nothing comes of it. Now coming to 5 laps to go. Wheeler remains out in front as Zellner remains the leader by 6/10 of a second. Take a look on board Wheeler here as the battle continues here to fight for the top 5. Side by side, Wheeler's going to be looking, and now James McKee is too. Now we'll take it side by side with Alan Cunman as he's going to be watching on board with the number 29 and 97 just ahead. And watching a fierce battle just moments away from its conclusion, Alan Cummin currently in 6th, and he's been throughout the field, but not to a major degree. From low of 14th up to 6th right now, his high spot was indeed 2nd, but hasn't been able to make much of it ever since. Now watching his teammate do the work on Scott Wheeler, he's going to be able to pile it in much quicker. These two distracting each other, going side by side is slower, but not to a big degree, not enough to really make a change. And now it's going to be 3 laps to go between them all as Cunman pulls up to his teammate's back bumper, tries to make it stick on James McKee, can't do so, so he'll go right back up high, gets loose in the wall. Now Cunman's in trouble, and that might be his chances at a top 5 diminishing before his own eyes. And just like that, maybe it's going to take a mistake from the drivers ahead of him, but that would be unlikely the way things have gone as Scott Zellner takes it down the line with 2 laps left. And now it's going to be that number 2 machine of Scott Zellner, who's been able to make so much of the night so far. Fantastic effort. The number 2 machine out in front with DJ Stagner, then the 2nd spot, and Lucas Lodano in 3rd. From an incident on a restart to a pit strategy dilemma to a strategy that ended up putting him back on course. Scott Zellner, with 1 lap remaining, will take it down to the bottom side to lead the final lap here in the Baadteshop 175. A mile and a half more to officially seal the deal, but for Scott Zellner, he knows he's got to cruise it until the very end if he wants to make anything of this moment. The number 2 is out there in front, has the back straightaway in control, and it looks like now nothing else to say or do. Zellner will take it through 3 and 4 once again, using the low groove to his advantage, and will add to another record-breaking number. Make it 13. It's a baker's dozen, and it's official. Scott Zellner comes back to victory lane for the first time in season 16 and puts together another victory, his 13th in his career, and gets it done again. The number 2 from Trials and Tribulation is on top and wins from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Zellner gets it done. 2nd is going to be DJ Stagner, and Lucas Lodano comes through for 3rd in his 3rd race as a premier driver. How about that for every driver involved here, as we'll take a quick results rundown before the burnout begins. Scott Zellner wins from DJ Stagner over Lucas Lodano in 3rd, James McKee in 4th, and then Scott Wheeler in 5th. Going to be Alan Cummins 6th, Brad Kress 7th, Caleb Morrissey in 8th, and Austin Bloom in 9th, with Dylan Clark then position number 10. Further on, we're going to see from there on out the driver of the number 93 of Justin Gibbs 11th, with Terry Brooks 12th, Joshua Susi 13th, and Jacob Halm in 14th. Going to be Connor Holden 15th, with Dylan Petit 16th, 29 seconds down, and Ty Smith, the final man on the lead lap, in 17th. Going to be Adam Bozzi 18th, Dylan Wedgwood 19th, and Kendall Kerr 20th, as Kenny Brooks holds on for 2 laps down 21st, and Chad Winstead 35 laps down holds on, the final man on the track in that 34. 3 retirees, they go as follows: Roberto Ramirez, Toby Wedgwood, and Tyler Rush, as the 25 car field is concluded with burnouts from the driver, the number 2, Scott Zellner, burns down the house from Atlanta. And as Scott Zellner comes to arrest the driver of the number 2 machine, going to put it on the front stretcher, just behind it, now on the Geico restart zone, and Zellner gets it done yet again. A burnout, another victory, and Lane Coons in chat also rooting for this number 2, and he pulls it through yet again. The winningest driver in the Premier Series history gets it done once more, and it is Scott Zellner back on top. The number 2 comes through, and after very close run at Daytona, getting it done here in Atlanta. Different scenario, but pulling through despite all the efforts and the hurdles along the way. Scott Zellner back on top. How do you feel after this one?
I feel like I took a trip of 1,000 miles. That was not necessarily how I wanted to win. I thought I threw it away when I pitted, and nobody else came with me, and then I got wrecked on the restart, and kind of just scratched and clawed my way back and pitted at the right time at the end. No more tires left, so I was just praying for green flag racing to the end, but pretty excited about that one. That one I felt like I let slip away, but I do feel like the fastest car won in the end. You know, we worked our way from the back to the front a couple times and ended up parking at victory lane.
And able to get to the top of the board, Zellner pulling through, and it looks like strategy was a huge part of this race. And in making that undercut happen, of course, some drivers trying to go in early, yet decided to keep it out a little longer on the track and eventually go for 21 more laps. So how was it with the new tires as opposed to those who tried to go a bit longer?
Yeah, this track just eats tires, and pretty much if you run 20 laps, you might as well come down pit road and put a new set of tires on. It's just that much of a difference. Which is why I was a little surprised nobody came down with me under that first caution. I thought we ran enough laps. Yeah, but that's what it takes here at this track. You know, you just have to time the strategy right. A lot of comers and goers, especially with this tire fall off. It's pretty treacherous out there, especially on the restarts. But glad that we played our hand right and wound up in victory lane.
And coming through in victory lane yet again, extending that record of the all-time winningest driver, and it looks like victory lane back in the Gen 4. So a different look, and we've still got a ways to go in the season. Matter of fact, next up from here on out, going from Atlanta, we're going to be heading to Darlington for a race at the Lady in Black next week, next Thursday night. So how's it going to be going for another race, this time with a much different track in mind?
Well, I'm really disappointed that I'm going to miss next week. I'm actually going on vacation, so I'm going to miss Darlington and Martinsville, which, real bummer. Not going to be able to contend for a points championship unless we go on a big run, winning a lot of races with the overall point standings. But Darlington's a really fun track. It's really narrow. Going to be a lot of beating and banging, a lot of hurt feelings by the end of the night. Looking forward to watching what kind of show everybody else puts on, but obviously really bummed I'm not going to be there.
Before a break from the action, still able to come through into victory lane tonight. Scott Zellner getting it done. First win of season 16. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this off?
Yeah, as always, thanks to all my family for watching each and every week. Couldn't do it without their support. Thanks to all my teammates at Four Horsemen Racing, Scott, Caleb, and Austin. Great group of guys. Thank you for putting on the broadcast each and every week. Look forward to watching these back and gonna really enjoy this one tomorrow.
And there we have it. Scott Zellner pulls it through and comes back into victory lane for the first time with the Gen 4 back in form. Season 16, season number 2, back in victory lane. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
But Zellner back on the move, getting it done for the first time this season. Right behind him is that number 64 of DJ Stagner, who ends up getting it done with the undercut in mind, which is going to carry him all the way to a second place finish. We're going to be dragging DJ Stagner up as we speak, making his way up to the broadcast booth. And so far, this number 64 has been the car to beat. Tonight, second again, back on the podium, and another solid finish to keep that points lead strong. DJ Stagner, how do you feel after tonight?
Pretty good. I mean, I don't think I had anywhere near the best car. I hit the wall way too many times. It's just a lot of it came down to strategy, and I think I was the first one of the front group to take tires. So, really, I was the beneficiary of that. I mean, I had absolutely nothing for Zellner. He ran a great finish there at the race. So, happy for him.
And it looks like despite the fact it wasn't really that close at the end of the race in terms of race winning, you made that strategy work out from trouble early to eventually putting it in the podium. So how was it managing the strategy and working your way up, of course, seeing some trouble early and going from there to go against it and eventually find yourself on top?
Well, I mean, it started in qualifying. I wrecked in my qualifying lap and qualified like 23rd or something. I don't even know. But, yeah, the whole race was almost damage control because every time I would get track position, I would do something stupid and lose it all. So, especially there towards the end, it just became damage control. And with no playoffs in this league, every point counts. So really, it just turned into a situation of let's just, we're probably, barring something extreme, we're probably not going to win the race. Let's do whatever we can to maximize the day and make sure that it pays off at the end.
And it looks like the points will pay off once again. Another great podium finish here for the 64 crew as they head on to Lady in Black in Darlington. Up next on the schedule, what's it going to take to conquer the track too tough to tame?
I think Darlington's going to be really interesting. It's depending on who you ask, it's either the most fun or the least fun track on iRacing. I'm somewhere in the middle. I like it, but I don't love it. I think with this car, with this damage model, it's going to be pretty forgiving on the wall because as many times as I hit the wall tonight, and I hit it pretty hard several times, I actually ended up with 0 seconds of optional damage. So I think the track's going to be pretty forgiving, so it's probably going to keep the field tighter later in the race, whereas normally if somebody hits the wall and gets damaged, they're pretty much done. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really tight race at Darlington compared to the average.
And looking for something a little different from Darlington with these Gen 4s, and so far prepared for anything. DJ Stagner comes through yet again, second position here in Atlanta. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just thank everybody. I think tonight we were working with Roberto, Ty, Connor, and Dylan Poteet. Everybody at Swamp Motorsports. It's been a fun ride so far. Everybody at Highline, Toby, Kendall, they do a great job running the series. Adam does a great job running the truck series. I'd like to thank my friend Chaz Nimrod. He plays football for Tulane. But I apologize, just saw something funny. Anyway, that's about it. I'd just like to thank those people.
And there we have it. DJ Stagner on the move yet again with a second place finish, keeping the podium streak running. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Stagner gave me the man on the move there, second place. And for Lucas Lodato, tonight was a statement run. Third race in the Premier Series with the rookie stripes and all, but it was a very, very convincing effort here. And it looks like Atlanta suited this number 7 team. Third place on the night. How do you feel?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I would say this is my first, real good. I mean, this is only my second race in Premier. I wasn't here last week. It seems like these big tracks sort of suit me. I mean, I did well at Vegas in the trucks last week. Coming into this, knowing what we were getting into with the high horsepower and low grip sort of surface. Started a little further back than I had hoped, back in 7th, but I got a good start and I used up the tire I had early and I worked my way up to the front, led a bunch of laps and had a lot of fun tonight. It was a good race.
And it looks like the race going well on all fronts there, keeping it up with the best of them all throughout, and had some very good early race speed. It still translated to a podium. So how is it like racing up here with a much different package from the trucks and making it work with a mostly similar driver field, but it's definitely some differences up at the front of the pack?
Yeah, it's a lot scarier, I can tell you that. Just like, especially for me, not really knowing who's done what, like I know the people who run up front and the people who don't, and like, I don't know who's good at what quite yet and how they race. So, got to lean on my teammates. Shout out to my QCR guys. Everybody had good runs tonight. Unfortunately, got caught up in some stuff. Chad and Adam and Jacob. But yeah, I was glad I was able to represent the team, and they really helped me out, especially Chad at the end after he had to retire the car. He was really helpful working me through those last like 15 laps or so.
And it looks like a team effort to bring the number 7 home on top for a first career podium. Number 7, Lucas Lodano, getting it done. But with Darlington up next, it's definitely going to be a different race. We head back to the track next Thursday night. If you're intended to come back, which I believe you are, what's it going to take to look for another great effort?
And just running a clean race, I think. I mean, Darlington's a crazy place, so got to see what we could do there. Got to see if I'll even come around. I'll see. I'll have to make a decision next Thursday. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend. She's been watching this whole race. I think you talked to her in the chat a little bit ago. So she's catching up on the text she's been sending me throughout the race. It's been pretty entertaining. And like I said to my QCR guys, shout out to any Bearcat Motorsports guys you guys are watching. Yeah, just gonna crack open a Cincy Light and enjoy my light now. I think I'm pretty happy. So.
And coming from the Truck Series, one of the big development prospects in the Premier League makes it through for a first career podium on a second attempt. How about that for Lucas Lodano? 3rd place tonight from the Baadteshop 175. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, David.
And with Lucas Lodano on the move, he's the final man in the podium tonight, coming through in 3rd, with DJ Stagner then 2nd, and Scott Zellner coming through for a record-setting 13th career victory, 1st of the season. Continues to break that record time and time again, and it looks like Scott Zellner, despite not making a full points campaign this year, once again a winner, and that never seems to be in doubt. Getting it done early this season, I'll tell you this much, as opposed to last, where he got it done at Kansas later in the way, but all the same, a win is a win, and it's a huge race tonight in the Baadteshop 175. We thank you all watching on live on FTN. It's been a great 2 broadcast, but for me personally, I've got to sign out for the night, so I thank you sincerely for all your support. If you enjoyed the stream, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's always greatly appreciated. It's the best way to directly support this network. And for those watching, I've been your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz. If you'd like to see a bit more of my action, I'll be live Friday night at 17 Eastern to conclude the short track showdown in the Open SuperSpeedway Racing League. They've been very fun this season, and concluding at Martinsville, I think that's going to be a must-watch show. So if you want something to do on a Friday night, we'll be live on FTN with the short track showdown, heading to Martinsville for one more night. Once again, going to thank you all for your immense support of the Fireball Talks NASCAR YouTube channel. From our studios to your homes, we hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation here on FTN, and we hope to see you whenever we're live again on FTN. We thank you all for your support all night long, and we hope you have a great night as always.